In a world beyond, time stands still. We dive into the vacant way, a nostalgic thrill. Text that legacy, a journey of the mind. The infinite loops, we leave the worries behind. No worries behind.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Depends on where you are in this wonderful globe. If you're watching it live or if you're going to come back on the flip side, we welcome you on here for another episode of Fandom Legacies. Discussion on Babylon 5 is part 5 of season 5. So that's the triple fives we got going on there. So joining me today, of course, is Doc Pop himself, Mike from Pacific 414.
Howdy, howdy.
He's eating his aged spoo. And speaking of spoo, the only one who will eat it fresh. Down below him from the, I was going to say, that's not how you do it. It's Phantom Hooligans, Cash Monet, a 007.
What's going on, Baron?
Oh, you sound so enthusiastic. Not much. You want doing a little extreme here.
Very enthusiastic.
Going to extremes with a stream. How's that sound? And below me, who just is everyone's favorite troll on the internet, a professional troll, the king of all trolls, Mr. Philip J. McCracken of Release McCracken. Phil.
I just want to say thank you, Mike, for having me back on Pop Talk.
Oh, boy.
That's bait.
It is, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. You need to get that little clip from Fury Road where Max is going, that's bait.
Pop Talk 2/3, then you have Pop Talk. This should be Pop Talk 2.0.
No, this is Pop Talk Light.
Don't listen to Mr. Anderson, dude. He came out of the Matrix again. We got to put him back in there.
Hello, Mr. Anderson.
And I'm hoping people out there are having a grand old time. Of course, our troll was the first one to put smart alecky comments in our chat, followed by the king of all nerds in turtles, Mr. DJ Ronnie G. Bear Ron Arman. I don't know. Like I said, I just run from our other show. I run through the woods naked, and people think I'm Sasquatch. So that's all I know. A very pudgy Sasquatch.
That's a bit too much information, Baron.
Thanks, Baron.
Can you expand on that, please? I don't quite get it.
So you weren't there. So, but interesting note to get off of this genre for one moment. When they were doing Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, they had to make sure there were guards around Peter Mayhew, because here you are in California dressed up as a Wookiee, and they're afraid some overzealous person might think it's Sasquatch and try to take him out.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
even back then, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do believe bear hunting's still legal out there in California.
Yeah, but
I don't
I
know.
think.
I doubt it. If it is, no one's going to put a picture of killing a bear. I'll tell you that.
Well, some
If
people
they are
would, too.
doing it.
Only on Beargate 3. Well, gentlemen, let us not, what shall we say, diverge any more off topic. And let's bring up. Oh, I thought I had it up, but oh, well, I was an idiot. And the episode that we are looking at today, we're going to be looking at 2 of them because I was lazy and did not watch 2 more episodes. So I'm just going over the 2 that we saw before. And the first episode is called Darkness Ascending. And as you can see, you can hear, these are getting more and more ominous as the story goes along. And of course, Lanier uncovers that hard evidence that the source of cargo ship attacks are from our friendly neighborhood Centauri, with no knowledge by Londo that this is happening. Of course, Mr. Garibaldi, who is now in the cup and gets his rich girlfriend coming by to visit and wanting to spend time with him. And of course, Lita tries to strike a deal on behalf of a rogue telepath. Again, a storyline that started from the very, very first episode, or pilot movie, The Gathering. So again, 5 years later, 6 years roughly later, because the movie was a year before the series started, you're tying up those ends. So JMS has not, what would you say, forgotten in the story. So, and when the story kind of opens up, he dreams of beautiful terror. Oh, do they have it? No, they don't have it here. Of good old Lita Alexander standing at the foot of his bed, all Vorloned out and saying, about, have you ever wondered about my power ever since we had the thing with Byron? I am not holding back no more and such. And Garibaldi, of course, wakes up from that bad dream, needless to say, only be encountering his girlfriend, Lise, coming through the door, who he, so romantically pulls his PPG on after that dream. Well, they get together. They decide to have, little makeup and form makeup, making up time, not anger and all that. And Garibaldi gets lucky. Boom, there it is. No, nothing more. In fact, there's that provocative scene right there. Old Matt Rissman, Garibaldi getting, chance to make out with his girlfriend. Of course, this opens up more complications, and she discovers that he is drinking again, and she's not happy about it. And she's on edge about it because she remembers this stuff destroyed Garibaldi before. And even when he goes out on dinner with her, she's ordering a wine. He's going, I want a coffee. Coffee's for after a meal, sir. No, I want a coffee. But that's after me. I want a coffee. So the maitre d', what would you say, acquiesces and give him a coffee. Garibaldi takes a nice sip of it. Goes, oh, this is the worst coffee ever. I got to talk to somebody. Walks out, pulls out his flask, and decide to put it in a boompa, as we say.
Yep, he spikes his coffee.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the maitre d' sees this and goes, we could have done that for you. You could have ordered it that way. It's like, whatever. So, not Lise. That's what I said. So, let's take a look at the situation between Lise and Mr. Garibaldi. Again, we see him in drunk. We see him drunk in the first season. Now, no surprise, it was made known that his drinking destroyed his life beforehand, including his life with Lise. And, little flirtations, you might say, of getting close to breaking down, but again, now he's at ground zero. You know, he's. Any thought, gentlemen? I will start calling out names.
No. I'll go after Mike.
Well, Lee starts expressing her concern, especially when she catches the bottle of hooch.
Old afterburner whiskey.
Michael, you've been down this road before. And when did this start?
In the classic person
she's
situation
concerned.
Want to talk about it. Yeah.
Yep. It happened 2 or 3 times at least, or at least 2. So,
Right.
She's very concerned, which she should be. But, unfortunately, Garibaldi's going through a lot of crap. And when he's talking to Lise about it, with Bester messing with his mind, with him feeling like they always want something from him, and he's getting sick of it. But it's also, I think, of course, the alcohol talking as well.
Right.
Because certain people, they have different feelings about how they take in their alcohol. Some people get violent. Other people just fall apart in general. So I definitely, Garibaldi, I would say his drinking has made him hostile.
I like drunk Garibaldi.
Reminds him of you.
Reason being, the character tries to portray him as a tough guy, and it shows weakness. If Babylon 5 had death sticks, I would suspect in his current state he would probably want some death sticks. But
Oh my
alcohol
gosh,
does the demon's work just as much as anything, and I don't know if it's just his depression or whatever, but I know when it comes to alcohol, it lowers the inhibitions. So is this Garibaldi how he truly feels rather than how he's acting? Because sometimes when someone's a drunkard, it tends to lower their inhibitions, and sometimes some people say the true self comes out. So is that the true Garibaldi, or is a sober Garibaldi the true Garibaldi? It gets you thinking. So I like that. When it gets you thinking, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
And Lord knows you've driven many people to drink, Phil, especially Mike.
Somebody had
to
support the alcoholic industry, and if I can get more people to drink one bourbon, one scotch, one beer, yeah, I did my part.
So, and of course, one person made an interesting note that Garibaldi's situation of him going back in the bottle was not basically the maitre d' of the restaurant. Basically knew, boom, because they delivered pizza there all the time. And who do they meet? A drunk Garibaldi. It's like, hey, that guy was security chief? He was just bombed out of his gourd. So with that, though, with Garibaldi, and you bring an excellent point up there, Phil. What do we see? I think in some ways with him being drunk, you see much more of the insecurity that Garibaldi has. And a lot of what he has is that tough guy exterior. And let's face it, even though you make fun of him, call him the dime store Bruce Willis, I mean, he pulled this off.
Bruce Willis. Cheap man's Bruce Willis.
No.
They couldn't get Bruce Willis, so they had to get him.
No, he's a good actor.
He is a good actor. But the one thing I'll also point out, there's a person on this station. Now, she heard good things and praises of Garibaldi. But when you come up to this episode, you can see why she dislikes him so. And that's the new commander of the station. She doesn't like Garibaldi. We all know that. And from from her perspective, I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
Right.
It's you have to remember all the good things that was being said to her about him before and during her taking command. So, Garibaldi, he's a great guy. He's a great thing. You can trust him. You can work with him. She ain't seen none of that. So, like I said, I don't know if it's intended that way in the way it was written, but she don't have any trust or even liking of Garibaldi. You know, I from her perspective, from what I see, she just doesn't like the man.
Right. They butted heads. They're two strong personalities.
Yep.
And he doesn't trust her really because she's kind of made it known she was on the other side in the war. And
Right.
And Garibaldi already has those trust issues. Now, after all the crap that he went through,
right?
They're only heightened probably to 11 now.
And that's a perfect reflection in how they've written it. That they also don't trust each other for which side they were fighting on. It's home because even for us, you know, our Civil War, it might have been over. Didn't mean the trust was there. And in some cases, even now, I would still say there's a little bit of that untrusting. Even though it's over 160 years. But yeah, old wounds, they might scab over, but they don't heal. But they went after each other even from day one. And one of his first questions to her, what I can remember, was, "Well, which side you fall for?" You know.
Right. And it's kind of interesting to note too that Garibaldi's making it known he's going to leave Babylon 5. He hasn't told everybody yet, but he's leaving Babylon 5 to go back to Mars and be with Lise. So even he's looking at it. In fact, sitting with his meal at the Fresh Air restaurant, he's making it known that he's basically one of the last guards of the station from the original team, from the very beginning. No, Sinclair is gone. And the last time he was there at that restaurant was Catherine Saki. And of course, in the series, we don't know, but the official novelization of the story goes that she followed, somehow was able to join the Rangers and makes sense that she went back in time. The novel, by the way, is called "To Dream in the City of Sorrows." If you can find it. It'll be great. It's a good thing to do. Good novel, and it's written by JMS's former wife. So, but no, he's listing off all these people who are gone. And now Franklin's going. Obviously, Ivanova's gone. The original station Lydian commander is gone. I mean, he's feeling like a lone man.
That's, I hear and remember, and you can still hear some people say the writing for this season was not up to par.
Yeah.
And I disagree.
I do.
Especially with what's going on in this storyline arc with Garibaldi.
Yeah, you got Garibaldi. What's going on with Lanier? The feelings of Delenn and Sheridan. I mean, this is it's funny when I was watching this with Crit and Phil. I remember because Crit was very critical of this episode of the season, if you remember, Phil, which is fine. I mean, people obviously have their own opinions, but going back,
particular episode.
Well, I think Crit didn't like how some of what happened with some of the characters. He was very adamant about that. He doesn't like what happened to Lanier, if you remember, Phil, which is fine. Like I said, it's his opinion. It's just watching this again, it's like you start understanding it more, because it's like, oh, you know what Lanier is doing. He's taking his life into his hands, but he wants to find out the truth of what's going on with these attacks.
Mhm.
And watching this again, I didn't actually probably realize as much. This is still a strong episode.
Very much so.
A lot of good storylines going on. A lot of good conflicts going on, especially Lita and Jakar, and the stipulation that she has and that he has, and he's willing to see if she would actually, and the telepaths, check in on the ambassadors from time to time, and she's like, I don't want to do that, and he was just testing her, which makes sense. And like it's very interesting what's going on. But Lita is definitely different, even more after Byron dying. So and she feels responsible for these telepaths. So she wouldn't have to, though, Baron. She would never have to.
Right.
But,
I mean, one person, there's this review I got pulled up on this episode, and it kind of shows the mental, smooth brain, lobotomized, drooling Gimboid out there. And I'll just hit the part about Garibaldi. Garibaldi is a lying wino, who, like a homeless person, even when everything he wished for arrives at his doorstep. A man who, for 4 seasons, had been the strong security officer and ex-soldier, gone through hell and then some, is now like a teenager going through puberty today. No, you're ignorant. How ignorant is that statement there?
Very. The choices he makes, and not only Garibaldi, but Lanier and everybody, I think in this show, it's, as of right now, with this episode, it's realistic. All right. Garibaldi was a drunk. You understand why he was a drunk before and why he becomes a drunk again. If you go to an alcoholics meeting, they will tell you might be sober for a year. You can be sober 10 years. But sometimes someone will, for whatever reason, fall off the wagon. And it could be something traumatic. Garibaldi's case, it's traumatic. And, I don't want to say justified, but it's a logical conclusion he was going to turn to alcohol to help solve his problem. Now, that's realistic. Lanier doing what he's doing now, it's realistic. His dream and his fantasy and reality is that Glenn is not going to ever love him the way he wants her to love him. So I think he turned the door and said, I'm going on with my life, which anybody in that situation would do. That's realistic. Realistic, what they would have done is Glenn returns that, and this is Sheridan. That's not realistic. See, that the way it was going is the way it's intended to go, and it's realistic.
Right.
Garibaldi in his situation, like I said, if he was on death sticks, he would be doing death sticks. He's turning to what he knows, and alcohol is what he knows.
Right.
Yeah. If he was on whatever drugs or on Babylon 5, that's what that's what he would have turned to, because that's what he knows. That's a human and a realistic thing that would happen. And anybody that hates the episode because these people are making realistic choices, not what we would say the greatest choices, but realistic. Sometimes you're affected by what has happened, not necessarily by your choice or by your actions, just the way it just seems your life is going through at the time. And I just think that Garibaldi, he was a tough soldier and everything.
Right.
Any tough soldier, you're on the battlefield, you're seeing people dying. If you're in a battlefield, there's a lot of change. Your captain today might not be your captain tomorrow. And being in the military, that it is technically a military station, yeah, people are going to leave. It's not going to stay the same. A
No.
captain of a ship in the United States Navy ain't going to be captain of the same ship. He might there be a year, maybe 2, lucky 3. But after that, 9 times out of 10, he's getting transferred somewhere else. There's always change. But I think it's more that he's been through so much.
Yes.
He does not like to change.
Right.
And some people, that's, nothing against people, but you hear it from in everyday life. Somebody that serves will tell you the military of today wasn't the military in 1980.
No.
And it's not the military of 2000s. There's been a huge change in the last 20 years. And
just a second here. Oh, my apologies.
Yeah,
and just a second, I just want to acknowledge Lowe's pick Linux Laptop, everyone's favorite penguin besides Punk Waddle. And he is proud to say he does have Penguin Dome. 2 penguins enter, 1 penguin leaves. Okay, back to you, Mr. McCracken. Sorry about that.
But no, that's fine. That's fine. But like I said, to me, these episodes were realistic. These are what I expect characters to do. They're not going to be the same.
No.
I mean, no matter what you watch or what genre of the movies or whatever you're watching, be it Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, things change. Things change. It isn't like it was in the very beginning. That's because it's not supposed to be the same as in the very beginning.
Right.
Well,
I mean, I think this guy who wrote this article shot himself in the foot when he got to that second sentence. At first, he's going, Garibaldi's lying, blah, 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 and arrives at, gets everything he wishes for, arriving at his doorstep. Then, period. A man who, for 4 seasons, gone through all this crap. And then he sits back and thinks that people don't have emotional scars. People don't have, look at the vets that come back and are alcoholics, drug users, both, right? Having mental issues out there, having sometimes a hard time getting through. They put up this front to get themselves by because they're afraid to show their what's really inside of them, the pain, the anguish.
It's realistic.
Right. This is really. And obviously this guy who wrote this, or girl, I don't know, is one of those that gives themselves a self-colonoscopy by shoving their head someplace, if you know what I mean.
Well, just, people that don't think there should be emotional trauma in storytelling are ridiculous. Like, it's just these characters have to grow, and they there's going to be good moments and bad moments. That's what's always made good storytelling. So when you have this happy-go-lucky stuff that just keeps going on, it doesn't make any sense, or too goofy or whatever. But go ahead, Phil.
I'll point out that you can watch any video of World War II. All right. Now, if you see images or clips of the German army in 1939, especially when they were going through the Netherlands, Holland, and especially going through France and celebrating in Paris, they were cheerful. They were celebrating. People don't understand that today, but why were they cheerful like that? Because they achieved what they couldn't achieve in World War One.
Right.
Taking Paris and defeating the French. Now you go 3 or 4 years later and you look at the same images and clips of the same German army, they got the 1,000-yard stare. And people call that 1,000-yard stare, they're like in another world. They're, like you said, take 3 years before, cheerful, celebrating, flags flying. 3 years later, they're not doing that. I don't even want to say they were fighting for survival at that point, but pretty much they were just zombies. And I know some people say, well, that's them on drugs, but they were giving them methamphetamines. No, that is something that happens to people in any military that fights a war. So Garibaldi is turning to alcoholism because, again, that's what he knows. Don't forget that man. He fought in the wars. He was tortured, brainwashed. I don't care who you are,
Right.
you know. And like I said, he had a natural reaction, and they made it realistic. For him to be always the tough guy, in reality, that doesn't happen. Even a tough guy has a point where, let's say Garibaldi was in a group of 5 men in a platoon or something, and all 4 of them get killed but him. I don't care how tough he is. He's going to have resentment for the rest of his life, flashbacks, and survivor's guilt.
Oh, and even more so, like you said, definitely the survivor's guilt. That's the one that really hits these guys that when they come home, and there's only a couple of them, or just one that's from a.
But they forget even Sheridan had been traumatized when he lost his wife. Only to go through that whole story arc to find out that
she's been
she was
possessed,
alive,
basically, yeah,
and changed. And if you don't think that he's still scarred or emotionally damaged or whatever, what can you say? Because his whole point up until that point that he found out that she was alive was hoping and praying that he would find her alive. Even after all that time. So even Sheridan, just you don't see it anymore, but I'm pretty sure behind the scenes, that man still probably would be a little emotionally wrecked. Anybody would. And guilt too, because what happened to his wife. So here you have Sheridan, the quote unquote leader, commander, whatever he is now, and at this point in the episodes. He might seem straightforward, firing on all cylinders, but behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure he gets moments of weakness just like anybody else.
Right.
And everybody's human, man, and they made their character human. And and when you have reactions and stuff like that, something happens to somebody, they get in a car accident, they lose somebody. Some people will say, well, just bounce back or just snap out of it. Sometimes people can. And immediately they turn to something like work. Well, Garibaldi turns to his alcohol. So I don't think that anybody that criticizes the character or his actions or his response to what's going on, I see it as, hey, man, they did a really good job of making it realistic. I think we would be complaining if he was the Garibaldi before the Civil War than after the Civil War.
Well, again, these are the people, because this review was written in 2019, June 30th, 2019. So not really all that long ago, right?
No.
So this is written by this moron who probably runs over and sees a show like New Trek or any of those, and oh my, look at how this show is so intellectually written, and they don't have any of this stuff. We can't have weak characters. We can't have weakness in our characters. We have to make sure we get the agenda in there. Well, JMS is laying it right there on the line, which makes us one of the most superior science fiction series that we've had in the last 40, 30 years. I mean, I'll even narrow it down to 30. Not everyone gets a happy ending. And I'm not meaning that in going to the massage parlor, but everybody does.
Nothing can end like it's like always like the typical Disney movie.
Right.
And
everyone kumbaya. Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way.
No,
yeah, but
not
even,
every...
Right, but even in these Disney movies, like there is some trauma. It just depends, but there can be some trauma. Sure, there can be a happy ending.
All Disney movies, let's say pre-80.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disney movies always 99.9% give you a happy ending.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
not bad. I mean,
No,
that's
it's not
they're-
bad.
Well,
Because
mhm,
they want you to be happy. That's the whole
mhm,
point about the
yeah,
movies. But
and
I
and
would
then they
say,
throw an old yeller.
yeah,
mhm,
but
right,
there's a point in time where you have to say, realistically,
yeah,
life is not always full of cherries.
No,
Sometimes you get, you know, if you hate string beans, you get string beans.
yeah,
You know,
I don't like them.
it's again, it's
mhm,
realistic, and
Right?
I don't think that person that was criticizing was realistic. You
No,
know,
no, it's kumbaya time out there.
yeah.
We all
Well,
have a happy
yeah,
ending, like Next
Kumbaya,
Generation
no,
had
I don't.
a
That
happy
this
ending.
this this this
Before this movie set is.
do you know?
this
And
show has
I
war.
don't think
There's not gonna be happy endings. Yes, there might be some, but there's still a lot of war going on, which would make
Right.
sense because you've got
but
these different races and
when you
yeah,
see
mhm,
Babylon 5, and more I watch when I watch Babylon 5, in a lot of ways, and I know there's no comparison because they're two separate worlds, but
Hmm.
a lot of it reminds me of original Battlestar Galactica. Not every episode was all happy gory. It was realistic, you know. And I still will rate the original Battlestar over the remake because ideally the first one to me was much like Babylon 5. You know, they weren't trying to take and make Sheridan the Superman or anybody above the extraordinary out of the world type deal. It was realistically, here's the situation, here's Babylon 5, here's everything going on, and the people that are involved into it.
Right.
You know, it reminds me a lot of the original writing of Battlestar Galactica in a lot of ways. If I'm watching an episode of Babylon 5, I can say, well, this is realistic. They didn't try to make people become like a Wesley Crusher, you know,
Hmm.
extraordinary traveler. We didn't have any
Right.
of that. I mean, did they do some extraordinary events in there? Yeah, but
Hmm.
it was realistic. You could say that was something that if you didn't know any better, it was real. You could really
Well,
see that happening.
let's move because this
Sorry.
storyline here that Garibaldi's going through is, of course, basically running parallel with the situation with the alliance, or now the Interstellar Alliance, and the attacks that have been happening to him. So, uh, he fell down. He screwed up big time. People died. Probably attacks happened that wouldn't have happened. Uh, People that had knowledge on stuff got killed before he could get to him because he was too busy getting in the bottle. So you brought him up before, Mr. Lanier, and how he went rogue and was piggybacking and getting the information that they needed for what's going on, discovering that it is truly the Centauri that's doing it, where their base was, and then getting the actual footage of the attacks that were happening, the brutal attacks, while he was basically parasiting off of the one Centauri cruiser. Needless to say that, it's like, oh, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. I mean, Garibaldi runs in and tells Lise he can't go yet and get the heck out of here. Why? Because, by tomorrow, maybe, we'll be at war with the Centauri. Right? So that's that aspect with it. The Drazi, the Marquis, the Gam, all these guys, the Pakmara, they're all upset now because of what's been going on. And no one's got a good reason why with that. So this also involves, what's going on? What do we got going on here? And now they got to try to protect Mr. Lando Malari. That's all happening there. So take on that we're getting with that aspect of it. That obviously a lot of this stuff is revolving around.
Yep.
Good insight. Anybody on that with the attacks and such? I mean, I think so far we found that it was Garibaldi's situation that was one of the more interesting aspects of this episode. Not that there wasn't any other. Gentlemen?
Yeah, it's like I think we covered a lot of it, and it's just demons. Garibaldi is still dealing with his demons just like anyone would, but people deal
Mhm.
with them different ways. And that's
Right.
what I think makes a show like Babylon 5 so interesting. Any kind of writing where you can also compare, not saying that you're going to just be like, oh, we're going to do this because this is what realistically is going on. These are things that could actually happen, especially in the future. So, especially if there's war going on and there's shenanigans going on, as in there's people attacking these ships and these trade ships, and like, yes, these are things that can actually happen. But with like Garibaldi, he's just dealing with a lot of stuff, and he wants to push away Lise because he know there's more problems coming, and he doesn't want somebody else in his life, this is just my guess, to be blamed for something that he feels that he could have stopped.
Mm-hmm. So, but looking into what's going on with the Narn and all that,
Mm-hmm.
what is your opinion about this manipulation game? It seems like
I think what it comes down to is there's some people that just even when there's an alliance, for whatever reason, they still want power and they can't control things, so they're going to start causing problems and causing drama where they don't need to. But that's just my guess, Baron. That's just how I feel.
My opinion when it comes to the Alliance, it's been this way since it began with Babylon 5. People join the Alliance for whatever motives or whatever reasons. How many times some members of the Alliance hold back? Well, we're not going to send ships unless they're going to send ships.
Right.
And, that, if you notice, is going on today in our real world. It's the same thing.
Yes.
And sometimes, and don't be surprised by this, you see, even in Babylon 5, the people that are holding back are making side deals with other people that are holding back. All right. And if you think in our grand alliance of today, that some of these countries are making side deals with other countries, I don't know what to tell you. It's realistic. I was always taught there's always two faces to every country's diplomatics. When they might say this, but behind the scenes, totally different. So we've seen that numerous times with Babylon 5. We've seen how Sheridan many times got frustrated. So, as far as their alliance, it's never been fired on all cylinders here. It's never been that tight. Only time it ever gotten tight is when one of the worlds are really, really in the backs against the wall, and last minute the alliance managed to put something together. But as far as the alliances, especially in this season, I would always be everybody has one foot in and one foot out.
Right.
Do the hokey pokey and turn yourself about. That's what it's all about, right? So, how I feel about it.
And of course, one of the other sideline stories in this, of course, is Lita Alexander, her quest trying to find a place for the telepaths to go. And she's trying hard with businessmen and such about, we can supply it, but there's one problem. These are Earth corporations. They have unregistered telepaths on them. Their insurance would go crazy. They would lose faith amongst people. All that, and she's having a hard time until she remembers the conversation with Jakar in the pilot movie, where they're looking for telepath DNA, and we can do it. We can do it the scientific, boring way, or we can do it the more interest. Yeah, interest. Yeah, and what's your
them?
mm-hmm.
That was jaw dropping for me, that she would actually go as far as say, if you want to make a telepath, I'm ready. Okay.
Right.
That was kind of that was really forgot dinner, didn't even get a dinner invite, let's make some telepathic babies, But the big thing that I always question on that, Byron was supposed to be working on finding them a planet the whole entire time, and he seemed to not to. I mean, I don't recall him ever having plans or talking about, this planet's available, this planet. But if you remember when he first arrived, he wanted to use Babylon 5 as like a temporary place of refuge. Right. It was supposed to be till he found a place for them to go. And he specifically didn't want to join anybody. He wanted their own planet.
Right.
What happened to them plans? Did he ever bother looking? Or was he just kind of like, I'm intent to being on Babylon 5 and I'm fine with it? I don't know how much living down in, I don't want to call it the sewers of the station, but I wouldn't want to stay there permanently.
And that wasn't his intent. He wanted to find a home world or whatnot, and he went about it all the wrong way. And, he should have gone straight to the Narn right away.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought from day one, once he got the temporary stay and he was there, that would have been his priority. Let me see if I can see what Earth can do for finding us a planet, which I don't think that would end up ever happening. So let me see. We got all these alliance worlds. Let me see what I could do. He didn't do nothing. After that, finally getting the place or temporary stay, he just, I don't know, threw his hands up and said, "This is fine for me." So I feel sorry that she had to step in there, and she looked like from day one she was determined to find him a place to stay. That was something Byron should have been doing from day one. And if that called for, hey, you guys don't have any telepaths and you need telepaths, you give us a place to stay and we'll work on making some babies.
Right. Exactly. I mean, as the one commentator sat back and said about this, you had your car in the pilot, like we said before. They would have to be rather substantial genetic manipulations and adjustment to allow for the DNA structure to mix between the Narn and the human, because Narns are marsupials, while of course humans are mammals. But it was going to say, JMS was being asked. This is from JMS. He was asked, was Lita flirting with Jakar? And his quote unquote would be, I wouldn't say she has any sexual interest in Jakar. She had her pleasure threshold expanded with Byron just recently. And as for her parting comment, I think it came more under the category of, you ain't getting it, but since you were still wondering, the friendly little plink about what her pain threshold is. Our pleasure threshold, both are the same. Pain and pleasure so close. But, here you kind of get that playfulness between these two characters.
Yes.
But he puts her to the test. He puts her to the test that,
just smart.
Right. Would you, to be used to spy in on other people and all that. And Lita still having some sense of honor, you might say. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to be used as pawns that way. No, the answer is no. And Jakar had to stop her going out. No, wait. You passed the test. If you would have been said yes, then the deal would have been off. So, and he, of course, he knows Lita. Lita knows him, realizing, what this was all about. So you got that morality play right there. What do you do? How desperate are you for this quote unquote homeland? Gentlemen.
That's the very no, I agree with that actually. I didn't really see, like, yes, you could see, was she flirting to get what she wants or something? Like, I agree with you. It was just playful. They know each
Right.
other. So there was basically a conversation of respect there.
Mm-hmm. Much more, yeah. There's much more. I mean, if you're just going into blind and the bland rating we got today, it's like, oh yeah, that was if she want, they were going to get it on. They're going to get on. Oh yeah,
right. But
that episode.
That's what we talked about. Like, it's not bad. There's relationships of anything, but they do such a poor job.
Jakar and Lita don't look at each other.
No,
romantically.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, except that chin. She loves that chin, which means she'd go after you, Cash.
Well, from what I know about her already, the real person.
Mm.
But didn't she also she dated JMS for a while?
Yeah, they were together for about they're together for about 10 years, and she was also running his company that was selling like the scripts and I think working on the Babylon 5 encyclopedia. And then they parted both as in a relationship and as in business. So, yeah.
Well, it was mutual, so that's.
Well, yeah. It doesn't sound like there was anything.
No.
Harsh or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a parting of the ways.
Did they have kids then?
No,
they did.
No, because JMS had a vasectomy. When he was like 21, 22, 23, something like that. So he's making sure that gun is firing blanks, boys and girls.
Well, that's what he wanted.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, just as Mike was saying, there is no interest between these two people that way. It's all business. But it doesn't mean you don't be playful about the business. A little bit of playfulness with that seriousness undertone to it.
Right.
And of course makes us start thinking, what would we have done in that position? Will we have been desperate enough to forego what our beliefs were?
It's a good question.
Right. And that's always a good question to ask.
Well, what about this question then? How do you feel about the telepaths, Baron? Do you feel that they could still be dangerous? Obviously I do, but they've certainly been treated like crap by the Psych Corps, and I understand why they wanted to leave and escape.
Yeah.
But
But the thing is they're going away from Earth. They're going to a place that these guys didn't do this to them. We're going to a planet that for 1,000 years didn't have telepaths because they were exterminated, every last one of them. So it's going to be a mutual beneficial relationship, symbiotic. Doesn't mean there won't be problems. No.
Right.
It's not a Disney.
It would probably be better for them because who knows? Maybe the humans will want to use them for something else in this way that they can leave and escape this. And
well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because you had that episode, I believe, that was in season 1, where a young lady was developing her, telepathic abilities, and there was a battle between Talia Winters and others about where she should go. And obviously, that Ivanova was all against her going to Psych Corps. And Talia Winters, being a good Psych Corps person, is fighting for that. But at the end of the episode, what did they decide? she went with the Minbari, went to live with the Minbari, to grow with the Minbari, because obviously they didn't have it. You know, that's the thing. You know, why didn't they go with Minbari themselves, where you do have a group of telepaths that are treated with respect and
Right.
have legitimate jobs out there, even though they do have this ability. But in some ways, I think going with the Narn is probably even better.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on this particular episode of Babylon 5? Okay, we're not hearing that, are we? Oh, that's no problem. No problem at all. Next episode that we are now dealing with, folks, is called All My Dreams Torn Asunder. And which is basically the theme of Babylon 5 and the theme of basically life in general. You think things are going the right way, and boom, it hits you in the face. And the Alliance has formally declared war on the Centauri. Basically, Londo gave them the middle finger because they had their little meeting without him. Then they were sending in all this notes to Londo to read, brought by various people, the little folders, and basically walks in there with those reports and rips them up and throws them up, all over the place. And he says, he's going back to Centauri Prime. Well, to show that the people around him still, love him and care for him, because he was left in the dark. He's only being told what they want to tell him. They convinced, or doesn't have to necessarily convince Jakar, but Jakar was going to be traveling along with him back to Centauri Prime, which of course, it's like there goes the neighborhood, the situation over there. But Veer is left behind in this whole situation. So we, basically it's kind of straightforward in this. It's very heavily Centauri centered on these attacks that's been going on, especially when they're hearing the captain saying, "We have children on board. We have children on board. Don't blow us up!" And boom, and they're then hearing this all across whatever tapes they can get. So now we are back to war. It didn't take long, did it? But sometimes, sadly, that's what happens out there. And
peacetime can be very fragile at times.
Exactly. So, but of course, good old Londo goes back with his bodyguard. They go and insist that the bodyguard stays in the cells, and puffing himself up like a penguin. No offense, little speck. He goes, "No, if he goes down there, I go down there." So what happens? He gets thrown down there with Jakar, his bodyguard.
Yeah, because Londo didn't think that they would arrest their own prime minister.
Right. And he was trying to protect Jakar. I mean, there's still that friendship, even under this one. Londo in and by himself is confused. What the hell's going on? But now that the war has been declared, basically, we leave the Interstellar Alliance. So, what do you kind of look at this aspect, this breaking of the fellowship, you might say?
Unfortunately, it's bound to happen. As I said, Baron, there's just certain people that want power in an alliance. It's just they want to cause problems because they're not happy with the way things are going. And like Phil said, people make side deals on other situations of the alliance, of people who are joining together because they don't like certain things that are going on in the alliance, certain situations from trade deals and all kinds of things. So I mean, that's unfortunately real life. But even when Londo is ripping up the papers and saying, we will not be threatened, then we lost Phil. Will not be
Yeah,
threatened. Okay,
he's just switching. He's just switching
no problem.
locations.
And I understand how Londo feels, but also Londo is thinking we need to find this out. So he's just trying to cover his ass, obviously, and like I understand that to an extent. He's not going to come out and say Centauri is going to they're responsible for this. He wants to find this out, and then of course this is just going to happen, that there's going to be trouble on Centauri Prime, because they, it's, if they have to, he'll be swimming with the fishes in a way, I guess, with Jakar, his bodyguard. Right. But yeah, I mean, you can understand why Londo's upset, but it's like, well, you see the evidence, and he once you see it, unless you're blinded towards it, then there's obviously going to be problems. So he's going to go back to his home world and see what he can find. But of course, there'll be probably people who are trying to kill him, because unfortunately, in those situations, that could actually happen in real life. Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I neglected this one. Going back to Lita Alexander, the actress. I got a blocking the name right now, but she's got that magic living streams, and DJ thinks it's coming off as a friendly cult, and he's more than willing to join that cult because you got yourself a hot redhead. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, poor Londo's like he's in between all this crap. It's like, here I am. I'm between all this. What's going on? What's and now it almost seems like everybody is against him. He doesn't have friends on Babylon 5, and he doesn't have a lot of friends in Centauri Prime.
No. No, he doesn't. Yep. And then, of course, there's another part of the storyline here where, of course, Zach is confronting Garibaldi, and it's like, look, this is important. And it's like, oh, you're drunk again, aren't you? Oh, Garibaldi playing his little games, because obviously he is drunk and he's trying to hide it. But Zach's not stupid. I'm not saying Garibaldi is either.
No.
But, he's still spiraling down, and it's just so.
Yeah, and Zach
needs help again. Well,
yeah, and Zach is there. Zach is a true loyal friend, and even though he looks like a simple man, he isn't a simpleton. And he's smarter than he looks, smarter than he acts, and a lot of people know that, and he's popular because of that. Less abrasive than Garibaldi, let's put it that way. Two different takes on that lead of the security on Babylon 5. So, so what do you think of that confrontation? Do you think that JMS wrote that pretty darn good?
Yes. I do. I think there's a lot of really good writing in there. I love like I've said before, Baron, I enjoy a lot of the conflicts in there, especially the diplomacy going on, the council. I've always enjoyed those things. I like that good dramatic writing.
All that good, that slow stuff that people don't seem to like anymore.
No, which is weird.
Where's explosions?
It's stupid, man. Like, we want to see everything action. Everything needs to be action. We don't need to build these storylines. I know, it's stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like you're saying.
Some shows are. Look, I'm not going to say that. Even stuff like Fallout, there was definitely storylines that were built up.
Right.
The Vault was very interesting in how they acted and all that. Very interesting.
Well, yeah. And and we saw that. Yeah, you saw the episode I sent to you on the Sci-Fi Vortex, the War Room, And Harlan Ellison explained the difference between sci-fi and science fiction. Now, where you're saying that things like Independence Day is sci-fi, let's blow stuff up.
Right.
While you have science fiction goes into a more deeper aspect of things, which of course,
As it should.
Babylon 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything
And again, there's
should-
nothing wrong.
Yeah,
There's
go
nothing
ahead.
wrong with that
Yes.
popcorn stuff. You know,
Look,
that's just the thing.
look at some of the stuff that we've written, even anime. Look at how deep anime gets. Look at the tragedies and stuff like Sword Art Online, Baron. I mean, you've watched what, a full season, maybe 2, 3. Even
Very
Phil
nice
has.
online.
Gosh, we watched all of it, Phil. There's no more unless they add more, dude. But no, I'm just saying, look at the relationships with these teenagers and how they start growing and so on, and all the trauma that they go through. It's crazy. But
Right.
I want to see more of that stuff on television. We're getting a little of it, but we're not getting enough of it. Even Marvel and DC, there used to be like tragedies that actually meant something, characters that were always interesting, and that's why I love shows like Babylon 5. Because there's just so much dramatic drama going on. The characters are interesting, and you feel bad for Garibaldi, and but you like characters like Zach because they care, but they're like strong characters. Like, who wouldn't follow Sheridan, man? He seems like a great president, and he's willing to do what the hard decisions. He's willing to take those on. I think that obviously is always going to show a strong person.
Well, which of course, he even expresses about, yeah, I make mistakes here.
Yes, right.
I have to watch myself.
Yes.
He realizes his weaknesses as the Interstellar Alliance president.
Exactly.
When you talk about the Alliance, and like I said, we've seen it before in Babylon 5. There's groups, like I mentioned before. Some groups, we're going to commit ships for this, and other ones, well, we need to defend our home world. That's more important. Like I said, in real life, we can see the realism into it because that goes on today. If you don't think in NATO, there is now a Scandinavian bloc and more, say, a Mediterranean bloc. Now the question is, if something was to happen, and regardless of who it would be, if something happens in Finland now, I'm pretty sure all the Scandinavian countries are right there, gun ho. Will Greece be gun ho? Will Turkey be gun ho? Now, according to the way that alliance is worded, they're all supposed to be gun ho, right? Now, tomorrow, if something was to happen, God forbid, in Turkey, or these Scandinavian countries, again, according to the alliance, it's like if Turkey gets attacked, it's just like they've been attacked. It's supposed to be day one, no questions asked, you're there. Now,
but the Greeks don't care. But the Greeks don't care.
No. If when it comes to Turkey, if something happens to them, let it happen. That's how the Greeks look at it, regardless of alliance or not. So you already can see holes in the alliance. Any alliance has holes. And there's going to be some countries that are going to be like, and some countries are going to be like, okay. Well, you have that with this alliance now on Babylon 5. But again, it's always been that way. From day one when they formed this alliance, not everybody has been gun-ho. Some more than others. And that's not countries now. Now you're dealing with worlds. So, like I said, I think when they wrote this, it is kind of scary, though, because what's going on in Babylon 5 today on these episodes is what's going on practically in our world now.
And has been.
And it has been nonstop. It's never gone away and never stopped. These shiftings and like I said, we have 50 states in our country. If everybody thinks all 50 states are all one direction, going in the same direction, It's never been that way. What's going on in Minnesota is not the same thing that's going on in Arizona. You know,
Nope.
it's always been that way. But you hope and you would think that if something was to happen in one, everybody be gun ho and everything. But sometimes you'd be surprised how some people are. You know, that's not our concern. What's going down there in Texas? I'm all the way up in New York. Until that problem goes all the way up in New York, then you see what how they feel. You know, and
Mhm.
that's going on in our world today. So I give the writer of Babylon 5, even though this, like I said, I do not think all the episodes are firing on all cylinders.
Mhm.
Right.
But I would say that every episode to me in Babylon 5, all of season 5, are sevens and a half. And okay, that may not be as great as season 1 and 4, you know, but I will tell you this: these are nothing like that being a 7.5 is being written today in any form of our entertainment today.
Mhm.
So like I said, I like the dynamic of season 5. I said it at the beginning. Cash was
Mhm.
there. I I thought season 5 it was different in a lot of ways,
Right.
but like I said, I do like it. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, the alliance, like I said, for me, from what I've seen and while I was watching from the day they were when they were forming the Assist Alliance, has always been, uh, let's just say, it's using gum to hold it together. And how many times we've seen Sheridan uh, in past seasons and in current season get frustrated with everybody. It's obvious what they need to do, what they should be doing, but you
Mhm.
still have politics and people jockeying for position. So
Mhm. Exactly. So, some interesting takes on behind the scenes with all this that's been going on is, of course, the episode was directed by Goran Gajic. I think I obliterated the last name. I apologize. Who is the husband of the late Mira Furlan, who plays, of course, Delenn. So here we have a husband directing his wife. And when it comes around the scenes between Garibaldi and between Zach in it, it was kind of a personal thing for Jeff Conway because basically all through his life, he was struggling with addiction to alcohol, narcotics, various other stuff. And I think we've all seen those celebrity interventions. I didn't, but I mean, they were out there and he was on it. And unfortunately, it did claim his life. But no, doing that scene, there is something that hits, I'm sure, hit hard to Jeff Conway at that time. I mean, unfortunately, we can't talk to him about it now, but
Mhm.
um, I'm sure there was some sort of boom, there it is. But when you were dealing though with uh, these alliances coming apart and the like, uh, it's hard to stay when one of your own attacks you. It's like like you were saying, Greece and Turkey. It's like, yeah, Greece would be probably pretty quick to take the side of the people attacking Turkey and tell the rest to f off, because that's how much hatred they have between those two people, the countries, I should say. But yeah. So, any other thoughts as we've been going with this? I mean, we had, of course, talking about Garibaldi being found out. Uh, I think the one best scene though is Franklin in this episode, our dear esteemed doctor. And he comes by to the quarters and says, Vera, you got to come with me. We got to get you someplace that's not safe for you.
Mhm.
And on the way there, they're jumped by three Mercury, I believe it was. And basically, he's trying to to downplay the situation. And then Cole starts cold cocking these guys and lays them all out. You know, of all people, Franklin, the doctor, Mr. Peace. And then, of course, continues on with getting Veer to a safe place in this. What do you think about that side of Franklin that we never really truly saw before?
Well, it had to be done.
Even he gets to a point where he's not just going to be
Yes.
a pacifist the whole time, where he's going to defend himself and defend the people he's trying to save. And he was trying to save Veer because Veer's life is in danger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he wasn't trying to take anybody out either. It just
No.
put him out of commission for a little bit.
Yeah, because it's
So that he
obvious
could-
Beard doesn't agree with this, and he saw
No.
the proof himself, just like Londo. So yeah, but
Mhm.
it's easy to take it out on somebody who's part of that alliance or part of that country or whatever who you're in war with. That's just the easy thing to do. Throw around your power. Well, we'll take it out on him.
Mhm. Oh yeah, exactly. Because he's part of that ambassadorial wing. You know, he's an attaché to good old Londo, and he is being handpicked as the new ambassador to take over. And of course, yeah, he's a convenient target. And it was great seeing Franklin in that and protecting him like that way. He's like, you don't mess around with Dr. Franklin. Let's just put it that way. How I miss him. Richard Franklin. Or Richard Briggs.
Yeah, not Richard Franklin, Richard Briggs. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I didn't get much. My apologies to everybody out there. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm kind of right now running on
happens, yeah.
fumes. Oh, I know it does. So it's like, yeah, man, I didn't have any caffeine today, and I only got a little amount of sleep last night because of insomnia. But here I am, man, and yeah,
I would probably say half of the country probably has some kind of insomnia at least.
mm-hmm. Exactly. Any other points on this particular episode of Babylon 5? Because unlike the other episode, this one's a little bit more contained with their storylines, and we can just go in on a laser on what's exactly being done.
Obviously, war has broken out, and it was bound to happen. And after that attack with the Drazi and the Centauri, yeah, it's going to happen. And of course, Londo and Jakar are locked up because they don't agree what's going on, and it's a mess.
Right. And it makes you wonder what the next episode of Babylon 5 is going to be.
Right.
It's like, oh, so we got this. So what's going to happen next?
And of course, we still have Garibaldi messing around. It's like, dude, get with it. All right, Zach, go in there and slap him a few times. Maybe it'll help.
Right. So, okay. Any last thoughts before we go tonight, gentlemen? I didn't even show all the pictures. There's goes Zach. Of course, our president. And there is the minister who arrested Mr. Londo and Jakar.
Yeah, that guy's a jackass. Where's the airlock?
well, the thing is, it doesn't matter because they're on the planet here, man. Come on,
right,
man.
I know, but I'm just
Mm.
saying, take him out, then throw him in the airlock.
This was a good scene, though, where
Yes,
Jakar says, now you know how it feels to have an invading force. That's not exactly what he says, but he basically says, now you know how it feels.
Yeah.
And I love that speech of Sheridan, too. He said, we're all going to go to hell anyways. You want peace? Well, we're on our way to hell. And basically, where you wanted war, well, it looks like war is here. So
Right. You're so eager for it again.
That's right.
And of course, this one also mirrors earlier on when you had Londo on Centauri Prime looking in the sky, seeing the shadow ships flying overhead. which he saw in a vision all the way back to season 1. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so it's like, again, the connections. It's like, okay, we had the vision, then we had the shadows, and now it's our own. This is what it looks like when Centauri ships fly over your planet, Malari.
Me, when I seen that, it reminds me of 1940, the Blitz over England. That's what it reminds
Mm-hmm.
me. And a lot of similarities. You know, you start out with the British going in World War One, and all these countries going in World War One. Remember, there hasn't been a war in Europe at that time since Napoleon. There's been conflicts, but not major wars. So everybody was cheering because they forgot what war was like. So
Mm-hmm.
when you see World War One footage, you see the people in Berlin cheering, the people in Vienna cheering, the people in Moscow cheering, the people in London cheering.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that war, I don't care if you're the winner or not, you're not that cheering.
Well, no,
And,
and they go so foolishly into war thinking, yeah, we're going to kick their ass in a matter of time because we're the superior military and we get the superior tactics. And then lo and behold, 4 years later,
and then they're wiped out. I
yep.
mean, sometimes when countries go to war, coming out of it's no guarantee. I mean, you can look at what happened to North Korea.
Mhm.
The miracle they survived. They should have been. They probably should have been. If it wasn't for the Chinese, they would have been. Let's face it, Korea would have been united under South Korea.
Right, exactly. And all North Korea is a useful idiot
Yep.
for
I
China.
call it a buffer state. North
Yeah.
Korea's purpose is a buffer state with Russia and China
Mhm.
to keep South Korea and Japan, mostly.
Mhm.
But like I said, if you look at the attitude, every country in World War One thought they were going to win. Well, unfortunately, there's a winner
Mhm.
and there's a loser,
Right.
and you only get 20 years between the end of World War One and the beginning of World War Two.
Mhm.
And the Germans, the whole purpose of World War Two, anybody tells you any different, was to get revenge for the end of World War One.
Yeah,
That's why
you're
they were
absolutely right.
celebrating when they thought that it was over because they were marching into Paris. They're celebrating. Worse, they thought war was going to be over. War wasn't over,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes countries go into war, think, "Oh, this is a sure thing. This is a sure win," and then
Mhm.
they leave and they lose, and they're scratching their heads. How did that happen? You
Mhm.
know, it happens. That's the thing. When you look at wars, I don't care if you're watching it on a TV show, a fake war, or you're watching a real war. You never go in coming the same way you come out.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm pretty sure Lando thought there that his people would have been able to more than handle and take care of themselves. Well, don't
Right.
look, does it? On paper, it might have looked like it, and
Right.
they might have looked strong enough to defend their own and hold their own. But the reality is, mm-mm. There's always
Mhm.
a bigger dog, always better than you. So, and I think that
Well,
was humbling for him to see. Hey, look at these crafts flying overhead, and then
mhm.
they're not hit. They're not from. They're not the Centauri.
Well, no, those are Centauri ships right there.
Yes, but
Mhm.
they weren't for what he was hoping, what he wanted.
Right.
Lando wanted. He didn't want none of this.
Right.
He is against
Exactly.
all this, and he knows this even before war starts. It's not going to end the way that his people think it's going to end.
Well, yeah, because what you got here is these people are walking around that arrogant, prideful, we're better than everybody else attitude. We want to get our empire back. This is our opportunity, which of course Londo kind of had in the beginning before he started getting wiser. And by the way, I'm going to have to for DJ. Yeah, this one is black because this is not the foreshadowing scene we saw in season 2. Was it 2 or 3? When the shadow ships were flying over. and they brought out the old purple outfit that he was wearing in season 1. But him having the black is kind of showing that descent into the spirit of Centauri Prime. But yeah, I mean, they think they can take the entire alliance on. And that's what they think. But who's the power that be that's behind it? Congratulations. Are you useful idiots or not? Just like North Korea is a useful idiot for China to keep that buffer. We'll let old chubby guy wander around and shoot his rockets out. We'll try to keep him in line, but it focuses people on him and not us. It's a classic. Deflect and such like that. This would have been a sight, if Londo was going down his road like he was. Well, Centauri Prime wouldn't have been there for one. It would have been destroyed by the Vorlons. But two, he'd be out there cheering. This is a great day for Centauri Prime. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
The most prideful Centaur we have on this panel. Any last thoughts, opinions, insights that you gentlemen might have about this particular episode of Babylon 5? Well, I'm hearing none, so without further ado, I do want to sit back and definitely right off the bat here, I want to thank good old DJ Ronnie G and his Turtles for joining us today. Always a friend of ours. Whether it's this nerd, whether it's Mike's channel, this channel, or even Phantom Hooligans, it's always good to see the Nerdmeister and his Turtles come in. And I don't know who the heck this guy is. I never heard of this Phil McCracken. And of course, we can't forget everybody's favorite penguin besides Punk Waddle, Low Spec Linux Laptop. And thank you all so much for being here today. And look who we got. I mean, I need to get that song from you. Yeah, you're late. No, I'm not even
a member of Pop Talk, unofficial, but it's
yeah.
Okay.
Not unless I say so. Not unless I say so.
Exactly. He's like the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, man.
But
are you trying to say he's the Dark Canyon of the three Musketeers?
He's not even the co-host, Phil.
No. And this is for you, Animas.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
There we go. Book series that did help influence this TV show, amongst other things. So, no. So, yeah, you're here. You can watch this on the flip side. Nothing wrong with that, right? Right. Unless, of course, you're Phil. And then he'll find something to pick it out. Now, continue on. Of course, I do want to thank everybody that was in the chat. People who are lurking on either X or Twix, Fake Book, and, of course, the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Even just because you do not participate in chat doesn't mean that you're any less important to us. If all of you people out there who watch and enjoy, we appreciate that you do, and we're thankful that you do. Let me first of all get rid of this. Boom. And eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I will go with our Centauri friend.
All right. Tomorrow, Sunday, Pacific Forum for Pop Talk at 1 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday and Thursday, Stellar Blade gameplay at 6 p.m. Eastern, and the Wednesday edition of Pop Talk at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. And of course, the next one would go to our team. I hope you're feeling better. Of course, the allergies have been hitting people badly lately. So
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we even though the weather hasn't been hot here at all, people are running their air conditioning so they don't get that garbage into their house. So, well, it was bound to happen. We'd have to talk to this guy with that magnificent chin from the Phantom Hooligans. I can't help it. I gotta say the in front of everything. But we have. Okay. There you go, Mike. There you go. That's for you, my friend. And all thanks to Mr. DJ Ronnie G. So, Mr. Cash Monet 007, what do you have planned on the docket?
All right. Well, next week, I found out Spock's not going to be able to play Fire Team Elite with us. So I'm thinking that maybe we do Dark Tide again if you guys want to. But
I think so. Yeah.
I think we should play offline a bit more, and then we'll do the stream on Friday. I think that would help us.
Right,
just
and get
time for that. Yep.
And get our new fourth in there, to get a little training and get her going there. The blonde-haired Moppet, that is the spawn of Baron.
That's
so,
right.
But she seems eager in it, and she was very sad that she had to go to a dance recital for a friend. That went, what did she say, 4 or some, I don't know how many ridiculous hours.
Man.
Oh, Jiminy Crickets. So, yeah, we got that going, and I'm looking forward to that. Dark Tide. We were away from Dark Tide way too long. I love that game.
We're quite really rusty. We've got to, because we've beaten missions in the past. I know that.
Right. And when you listen in, you hear the fantastic coaching of Cash Monet 007. It's like, guys, don't stay together, guys. We are together.
Not enough. But it's definitely a mountain to climb, but we'll get there. I mean, these games aren't supposed to be easy. So if anybody thinks they are, they're ridiculous if they think that. We got that, and then we'll in the future we'll definitely be playing some Myth Force when this and that. I'm glad I can actually show you guys now where an area to grind that Phil and I had, where you guys can get gold, and it would probably only take you a few hours to even get that 900k gold, especially if you're already there, halfway there. It's not. But no, Phil and I have been talking about stuff. I found Fallout 76 pretty good. Phil says it opens up more when you get to level 50, so we may do another stream of that. That's in the works. And then, of course, Baron, we were talking about starting the talking pinheads after we're done with Babylon 5. So, we'll have to talk more about that. But what's actually coming up besides the 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday, our multiplayer stream, is I'm working still on another Crab's Treasure. I've been recording it. It's not quite done yet, so it will be done soon. But I was recording it this morning. I didn't like how things are going, certain things, and so I'm going to record it again until it sounds good enough to be uploaded. So that's what I've been mostly working on, and then there'll be some surprise live streams coming up soon on the Phantom Hooligans as well.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm shocked. Okay. And are we ready for this, folks? Are we ready for this? Mr. Philip J. McCracken of Release McCracken. Do you have anything on the plate for yourself in the near future?
Of course I do. As always, one form or another of excitement. Just wanted to say up front, I'm very happy that Anonymous got the gutters cleaned. It's about time.
Oh, boy.
And you always will be to me the fourth member of Pop Talk.
Hey. Yeah.
But that's for me. Pop Talk 2/3, 2.0. I'm waiting for Pop Talk 3.0. It's coming, I can tell. But anyway.
Keep dreaming, Phil.
Well,
anyway, I mean, he's trying to pull that fifth Beatle thing on us there, where there's like about 562 fifth Beatles out there.
Well, there is a legit. There was a drummer before Mr. Ringo Starr.
Yeah, I know there was. there was, but even after they formulated to John, Ringo, and all that, they were always saying there's a fifth Beatle because they did this on an album. This guy's the fifth album Beatle because he did this
Pete
on an
Best.
album. Yeah, Pete Best. Yeah,
Yeah, but you have to remember, just because someone performs on an album as a ghost musician doesn't mean they are actually members. Yeah.
Oh no, we know that, but everyone always wanted to talk about that and say, "Well, this guy was the fifth Beatle." But yeah, you know how Pete Best torqued off many people that were fans.
Do tell the story.
He released an album because he was gone solo, and he called the album "Best of the Beatles."
Well,
So all these people were going out there expecting, "Oh, this is the best of the Beatles," when it's Pete Best of the Beatles.
sorry. I like the way you got to word it, and technically, in the way he used it, he wasn't actually. He was using, he was using the name, but just the way he was doing it, you can get away with
Right. Sneaky Pooh. He was Sneaky Pooh.
it. Well, there's always sneaky poos, trust me. But don't forget, if he did a little sneakiness on them four, we know for a fact they did some sneakiness on him.
Oh yeah.
Give and take, man. It's give and take. But
Exactly.
as far as up and coming, I have two as of right now. I'm going to be guesting on Phantomology with our friend over there, and we're going to do an episode for we're on the last two, and the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. So there should be one more stream after that one, and that will be done. And then later in the week, as of right now, I should be guesting again on Phantomology and helping our friend there with his Alice Cooper.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Yeah.
And
Name
you know what?
name the band first.
Right.
Name the man. A lot of people don't know that. It was a band, Alice Cooper. Then
Yeah.
it became the man, Alice Cooper.
Exactly.
And
And just
so-
like Adam and the Ants became Adam Ant.
Yeah. But like I said, there's a lot of things to talk about there. Real quick one I'll throw out there so people know. Alice Cooper, the man, is Mr. Faulkner. That's his real name. Son of a preacher. Every year has to fork out $50,000 to the former original members of the Alice Cooper band to use the name. And he's been doing so since he took over the name. And that's a good
Right.
40, 50 years. So that's a lot of money, 50,000 a year. Yeah, they're not doing bad for not having to do anything but just collect a check every first of the year.
Right. And Mr. Alice Cooper was also good friends with Glenn Campbell.
Yes, he was. He is, even though his father was a preacher, Alice Cooper does do some preaching. He has known to save Dave Mustaine and converted him to be a born again Christian.
Right.
So, yeah, there's
He was
interesting.
lost and then he was found.
Yeah, Alice Cooper is an interesting individual, and I admire him because he's been married to his wife for now about good 40, 50 years. So, and she performs with him. So,
right.
That doesn't go good in Hollywood, with marriages lasting that long.
Yeah, it was just like Jeff Conway, and of course the character of Garibaldi. He had his demons with drugs and alcohol as well.
Yeah, major problems. Problems. But
can we start calling you now Phil McCracken of the Star Wars guys at Phantomology?
No.
Yeah, here we go. I think that's it.
I will punch you. Not punch you. I will punch
Violence.
T-U-N-T.
Wow.
He can dish it up, but he can't take it, boys and
Oh,
girls.
not that department. and you know better than that. That's all I will say.
Yeah.
You know better than that.
Anything else, Mr. McCracken?
Other than that, I think Cash Money and me are trying to figure out what day to possibly do another Fallout 76. And since Cash Money is shy and doesn't want to, just throwing it out there, Baron, you or Mike want to join us, you guys are welcome to join us. I know you guys don't stay up that late. I try to be accommodating for
Well,
Cash Money.
that's why I didn't accommodating. Funny, no, it's which is fine. I mean, I try to be accommodating for Phil too. Like I can do it earlier or later. It's just if we're going to do, if we're going to have Mike and Baron on, we need to do it earlier because they'll be sleeping already, and
Well,
I'm not going to
I
wake them up.
I don't have the game. I'm not even looking to get the game anytime soon. So
No, not Fallout 76. We were talking about Myth Force.
Oh, Myth Force. Oh. Okay, I understand. Yeah, we can figure something out.
Myth Force, and yeah. I have been working out. My arms are a lot stronger, and carrying isn't a big issue as much as it was before.
Oh boy, here we go.
But
Yawn. What was that?
We don't have to worry about no pot piggies,
That's true. That is true.
Or someone out of the blue setting somebody on fire. I think Mike don't like the game because he's been set on fire too many times in that game. So
a few times at least.
Yeah.
A few times, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. The fourth.
Before I go, the last thing I'm going to say before I shut my mouth.
Yeah.
You guys play that Dark Tide too.
Dark Tide.
Mike and Baron are always in the front, and our Chin Man is always in the back.
Well, he's encouraging us on, just like every good general.
No. What he's doing is typical, sending out the pawns to die first.
Sure.
I think one time you guys should do a trick.
You know, it'd be nice. No. If Phil actually bought the game or owned the game, it would be nice. Of course not.
I can't be a Tau. I don't play.
Oh, okay. Is that really the big problem? Fine,
yes,
whatever.
I told you. But this is a secret. 50 times. I told you many times before. Baron knows this. I like
heard it a few times.
Yeah, one of the worst races they came up with.
One time, I want to see you guys act like you're going to the front, but then fall back behind Cash Money and make him take the point.
Oh boy, whatever.
Nope, I'll take point. I'll meet him head on, and if I die, it will be with honor.
You're gonna die with honor.
See, you gotta remember, we were talking about Rambo Mike.
Ashamed of yourself, Cash Money, letting your fellow.
Rambo
I'm not
Mike,
ashamed.
dying with honor is the Klingon way, Baron.
I was running off with Baron too because we were looking for those chests. He was.
I like chests.
Every time I was watching, why is Cash Money always
sure, dude. Whatever you say, Mr. Anderson. Whatever you say.
Hey, that's not what I did.
Yeah. A man who never, Mr. Anderson over here, who's never going to play the game and wants to try to criticize us. It's fine. Though.
Well, I'm not criticizing the game. I'm criticizing the game.
Sure, right.
Okay.
Anyways,
we're going to move on here.
Yes, moving on.
Thank you to the fourth member of Fandomology. And of course, bringing myself up here. Of course, next week, please join us again for Babylon 5 discussion of season 5 right here at Fandom Legacy. We'd love to have you there. And another thing, good old Cash Monet and I are also part of Jace Fox 540 Studio. So join us. That's usually on Thursday. Anywhere between 6 and 6:30 Central Daylight Time. So please join us over there and be part of the hijinks that we got. And of course, as you heard, I'll be with Mike and I'll be with Cash on their little shenanigans as well. So, with that saying, again, I want to thank everybody. Who did that, Mike? Who did that one up? That's not my works. I know my works. That's not my work. That's actress. Oh,
that's a screenshot from Star Trek Online.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Looks like you. It looks like you. I mean, okay. Then I won't get my nose out of joint. Okay, but again, thank you everybody for joining us for this current episode. Join us next week, same Babcom time, Babcom channel. And with that, good night, good day, good morning, wherever you may be. Really, technically, I'm the fourth member of Fandomology because I was Fandomology for a while. I'm just saying.